Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3680BN. Today's date is July 6th, 2025, and the title of the episode is Bribes, Blackmail, Threats Deployed, Death Spiral. This is the D's Last Stand, Fear. You know what's interesting? Most investments today feel like second jobs in disguise. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. You deserve a strategy that builds wealth without sacrificing your time, sanity, or freedom. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Gold doesn't demand your attention. It doesn't crash overnight. It doesn't care who's trending on Twitter. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of investors just like you, people who want both profit and peace of mind, secure their future with real physical gold. There's a reason smart investors are going back to the basics, choosing the only asset trusted by civilizations for over 5,000 years. Gold offers freedom and peace of mind, 1 ounce at a time. Visit x22gold.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's x22gold.com. Don't invest in a second job. Invest in your freedom. And here's a bonus for you. Get rewarded for getting started. Open a qualified account at x22gold.com, and they'll send you 2 5-ounce Silver America, the beautiful coins, free. That is x22gold.com, or just click the link in the description. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech, fake news, the puppet masters, you can see they're trying everything to stop Trump. And as of right now, they are using the judiciary within their system to try to stop him. And all these judges that have just been sitting in the shadows, they are coming out of the shadows and into the light. And you can see the D's, they have been bribing them, blackmailing them, because they knew eventually what was going to happen. They were going to have to call upon these individuals to actually push against Trump. Basically, the D party right now is in a death spiral. And I do believe what Trump and the Patriots are doing right now, they're in the process of basically dismantling their entire party. And that gives us Elon Musk. Now, think about it. Elon Musk has been with Trump. He created Doge. And basically, now all of a sudden, Elon Musk, almost like DeSantis, if you go back a little bit in time, all of a sudden now he's done a 180 and he's completely against everything that's being done right now. And he's creating a new party. Now, a lot of people think that, if he creates this American party, it's going to take away from MAGA. No, it is not. Go back a little bit in time. Did DeSantis, when he went ahead and announced that he was going to be running in the election, did MAGA rush over to DeSantis? Or did the fake MAGA people run over? And as soon as DeSantis couldn't get anything done, what happened? All those people did what? They came back to Trump. And actually, think about all those people that moved over to DeSantis. They badmouthed Trump when they were with DeSantis, and then all of a sudden they came back to Trump. You see, within this entire movement, there have been people who pretend to be on the side of MAGA when they really aren't. It's like the rhinos, Republican in name only. So I do believe with Elon setting up this entire new party, what this party is going to attract, it's going to attract the moderate Ds. It's going to attract people like Mark Cuban. It's actually going to rip the D party apart and actually going to spread the voters in all different parties, which is going to weaken the party dramatically. Remember, there's already a new party. It's called MAGA. Trump, from the very, very beginning, showed the people of this country, this is why the people are with him, that, look, I will do the work. I will take all the slings, all the arrows. I will take everything, and I will never, ever leave your side. Trump did the work from 2016 to 2020. Trump did the work from 2020 to 2024. Trump is still doing the work from 2024 on. Elon shows up, for a couple of months, and now there's a new party. Where's the work? Where's the blood, sweat, tears? Where's any of it? But think about it. This, I do believe, is being done on purpose, because those people that are looking for something, better, like the grass is always greener, and they love to have no work involved. They love just saying, okay, let's move over here now. That's what those people do. You're going to see the D party completely destroy itself. And it's already starting to happen. I mean, think about it. When Elon bought X and people got their free speech back. Not everyone has. And Trump started Truth. The D's, what did they do? They said, well, I'm not going to Truth. Well, I'm not going to X. I don't want to stay on X. So they created something called Blue Sky, which was already there. That was Jack, who was the CEO of X. But they went all over that. Did everyone follow? Did everyone go over there? No, they didn't. So once again, what I think is going to happen, I think that no, MAGA is not going to rush over there. All those fake Republicans, all those individuals that want something better without the work, they're going to go there. And what's going to happen is you're going to see that party is going to be a complete and utter mess. And actually, when you step back and you take a look, you're going to see the board very, very clearly. You're going to see those individuals, they'll be struggling. They'll be lost in this new party. And you have to remember that these individuals, they don't know where to go. These are people who lost, and what they're doing is they rather go someplace, no matter what it is, where they think it's going to be better instead of going to MAGA, instead of sticking up for this country. And think about what's going to happen along the way. Along the way, we're going to see the economy get better. We're going to start to see the wars disappear. We're going to start to see the infrastructure of this country being built. We're going to see all this racism and division that is going to disappear. We're going to see that people's buying power is coming back and people are happier. We're going to see families now, they're going to multiply. And what people, through hard work, what people are going to see is that, look, there already is a party. There's already a party doing all of these things. And all these people that are rushing around looking for these other things, they're going to be left out in the cold. And you're going to be able to see this very, very easily. And I wouldn't be surprised that Elon and Trump might be doing this to see what individuals within the Republican Party might actually shift. Because I do believe once we get through the midterms, I think this is it for the D Party. They're going to try everything they possibly can to try to manipulate the midterms. I don't think they're going to be very successful. They might even try to push an event, which I don't believe they're going to be successful in doing this. And I think once they lose, you're going to see that the D Party is completely lost. Their power is stripped. They're spread out all over the place. And all those people that think they have a better party, they're going to watch and they're going to see that people, they're loving what is happening in this country. And they're going to be scratching their heads saying, what is going on here? And people are going to start to realize that there's already a new party, and it's called MAGA. That's what brought us here. That's what's going to keep us here. And that's what's going to propel us into the future. And I do believe we're going to see this. And again, I do believe that at this point in time, the D's, the deep state players, they are so weak. And I do believe this is part of Trump's strategy, is to make them so weak, so spread out, so lost, that they're going to cease to exist the way we know them today. We'll be talking a little bit more about this a little bit later. But first, let's talk about what's happening out in Texas, because we see there was a major flood out there. And of course, the first thing the D's do, they blame it on Trump. Oh, it's because of his cuts. They had no warning. No one knew this was coming because nobody's working at any of these weather station areas. That nobody was able to predict it. This is why all of this happened. All of this is fake, phony, and false. Election Wizard put this out and said, the attacks on Trump are BS. San Angelo NWS predicted possible flooding a full day in advance. Austin, San Antonio, and San Angelo NWS offices issued a flood watch roughly 12 hours before any flooding. NWS then issued a flood warning about 3 hours before catastrophic flooding occurred. National Weather Service also issued a flash flood emergency at 4:30 a.m. while there was still time to get to higher ground in most areas. The union says both offices in both San Antonio and San Angelo were adequately staffed and resourced. So everything the fake news is trying to do, it is completely and utterly falling apart. It's already debunked. Trump, he put this out on Truth. He said, I signed a major disaster declaration for Kerr County, Texas, to ensure that our brave first responders immediately have the resources they need. These families are enduring an unimaginable tragedy. with many lives lost and many still missing. The Trump administration continues to work closely with state and local leaders. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem was on the ground yesterday with Governor Greg Abbott, who is working hard to help the people of this great state. Our incredible U.S. Coast Guard, together with state first responders, have saved more than 850 lives. God bless the families and God bless Texas. And our hearts go out to all those families and all those people that were in this tragic flood. Now, the other thing that we could see is the deep state players, they know that they're losing. And basically, instead of using facts, instead of using, real information, they're just putting out emotional statements over and over and over. And because the reason for that is because they have nothing else. They can't use the facts, so they have to use emotion. And that's pretty much what they're doing right now. For example, Adam Kinzinger put this out and said, there are actually quite a few undocumented Russians in the U.S. Anyone have any videos of ICE forcefully deporting them, or just the brown people? Data Republican responded and said, in fact, ICE has so far recorded 57 arrests of individuals from Russia this year. It took me less time to look that up than it did for you to type this intellectually dishonest race-baiting post. Absolutely. And you can see the deep state players, they are continually putting out fake stories, trying to invoke emotion, because that's all they have left. They don't have facts. All they can do is use emotion and put out statements to try to convince people that something's happening. And hopefully you get emotional about it and you stop thinking. Arizona News put this out and said, she's not doing good. ICE detains Phoenix woman. Now it's a Phoenix woman with leukemia at Eloy Detention Center. Abriela Rodriguez Marquez has been stripped of her U.S. residency, advocates say. Tricia McLaughlin responded to this and said, false. Marquez has been seen by medical professionals at least 13 times at Eloy Detention Facility. Each time she has been found to have no medical issues. In fact, when she was arrested by CBP for attempting to smuggle an illegal alien with fraudulent identification in her vehicle through the Arizona port of entry, she told law enforcement she had no medical conditions and was not taking any medications. So again, you can see what the deep state players are trying to do. They're trying to use emotion to get you all crazy, to make you stop thinking. And all you got to do is look at the facts. All you got to do is look at what's really going on. It's almost like Garcia, the individual that was in the prison in El Salvador. He's a human. He's not a Maryland man. He's a human trafficker, a wife beater, child trafficker, MS-13 gang member. And the president of El Salvador says apparently anything a criminal claims is accepted as truth by the mainstream media and the crumbling Western judiciary. But the man wasn't tortured, nor did he lose weight. In fact, photos show he gained weight while in detention. There's plenty of footage from different days, including his meeting with Senator Van Hollen, who himself confirmed the man seemed fine. If he'd been tortured, sleep-deprived, and starved, why does he look so well in every picture? Why would he gain weight? Why are there no bruises or even dark circles under his eyes? Because, again, it's all fake, phony, and false. And remember, back in the day when the deep state players had the fake news and they controlled the narrative, yes, this would be very, very easy to push. But in today's world, you have others that are putting out information on different social media platforms, and the fake news is no longer the news. And I think the people of this country and the people around the world, they understand this. Why do you think Europe is now ready to censor the truth on social media platforms? If you notice, they're only censoring those individuals that are telling the truth on social media platforms. They're not censoring the fake news in their countries who are spouting fake information. Think about that for a second. And then think about these judges, these tyrannical judges, where they're now pushing nationwide injunctions, even though the Supreme Court said, hey, you're not allowed to do that. You have to stay within your district. You can't do any of this. So, of course, we had Judge Moss out there telling everyone, hey, I'm now creating class of people. So this way, these people can seek asylum. And it doesn't seem like it's working too well for this judge. And once again, you can see they're trying everything and anything to try to keep their constituents in this country. Remember, they are now blackmailing, bribing, threatening these judges. You better do what we say or else keep these people in this country, because if you don't, everything that you know right now, everything that you have is going to come to end, and everything that you've done that we're holding over you is going to be produced to the people, and they're going to know who and what you really are. Mike Davis put this out and said, illegal aliens are avoiding deportation by pretending they're persecuted back home. So the Trump administration sends them to third countries. A Boston Democrat judge unlawfully blocked this. More than 2 months later, the Supreme Court finally reversed it. The same day, that same judge defied the court and unlawfully blocked again. 10 days later, the Supreme Court finally reversed again, but with no consequence to that judge. The next day, a D.C. Democrat judge unlawfully blocked again. These Democrat activist judges are not only sabotaging the will of the American people and the presidency, they're now openly defying the Supreme Court. Chief Justice John Roberts is letting them do it. Roberts is refusing to get the judicial house in order, so Congress must do it for him. And you could see that Chief Justice Roberts, well, he's also blackmailed. He's also controlled. And you could see it very, very easily. Now, the other thing we've come to find out, and it looks like Trump now has a win. The Supreme Court sides with Trump, grants the request to lift Biden's judge's orders blocking deportation of the 8 illegals stuck in Djibouti. So these individuals, they've been trapped in this country while the judiciary, who's completely out of bounds here, decides, what their next step is going to be. And they don't have the intelligence. They don't have the proper information. And actually, by doing this, they could create a major, major problem for these agents and everyone around them. And once again, you could see the deep state players, they don't care about that. You know why? Because the deep state players, all they care about is keeping as many people in this country as possible. Because number one, they're criminals. They need the criminals. They have no morals, so they'll go around looting, burning, killing. They don't care about that. They also need as many people in this country as possible to try to cheat in the midterms. And they don't want these people pushed out of this country because already they don't have the Social Security numbers to use. And once you get rid of the illegals, it really pretty much shuts down their entire cheating system. And this is what they're trying to stop. But it's not going to work because, again, you could see every step of the way what wins over the judicial judges? The Constitution. Just like during COVID, just like during Obama's censoring, even though Biden was the resident, Obama's censoring on all the different social media platforms, the Constitution will always win against all of these people. And this is why they hate this country so much. Because, again, this country has a Constitution, and this Constitution is like no other. It was created by we the people and given to the government saying, this is our contract, you must follow it. If you violate the contract with we the people, you will be removed. In other countries, the government gave the contract to the people, and the government says we can change this anytime we want. Why? Because it's our contract to you. So if we want to change it, what are you going to do about it? That's the difference. And you can see it out in Europe. It's plain as day, out in the UK. If they want to create hate speech laws, no problem. Try creating a hate speech law in this country. You'll see lawsuits. You'll see it go up to the different courts, and you'll see that it's unconstitutional. Same thing with trying to create laws to take away the weapons from the people. Same way of trying to censor people. In the end, the Constitution will always stand tall. The Constitution will always win. It might take a little bit of time, but the Constitution will always win. Now, can you imagine if we had judges that weren't corrupt? Can you imagine if we had judges that followed the rule of law? These cases would be over and done with in a matter of seconds. And this is why the deep state players continually push things like this, because they know that it will take a very long time for the corrupt judges to get the cases, moving. And also they know once they say, oh no, this is constitutional, and then the appeal happens, this also takes a very long time. And this is why they're putting all these judges into place, because again, their main objective is to do what? Get rid of the Constitution. Now, we could see that by having the right people in the right positions, you can actually arrest criminals. And you can see Alina Habba out in New Jersey, she's doing just that. Federal authorities have swept up 264 wanted criminals, including 2 illegal migrants wanted for sex crimes in New Jersey in an ongoing mission dubbed Operation Apex Hammer. They nabbed suspects wanted for murder, robbery, sexual offenses, including those against children. Those arrested include 17 homicide suspects, 95 gang members, including several other wanted for serious violent and sexual offenses. So, U.S. Marshal Juan Mateos Jr. and the acting U.S. Attorney Alina Habba called the collaboration among federal, state, and local law enforcement a major success in combating violent crime and restoring public safety. Absolutely. And we can see the New York Times right now. They're trying to make it seem like Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, they're making the FBI less safe for the American people, and Trump is politicizing the FBI. Basically, they always like to project what they have already done or what they're doing. Well, Dan Bongino responded to this article, and he said the following. This New York Times article is precisely why hardworking Americans simply do not trust the media. The article is poorly thought out hit piece which attempts to address the dramatic personnel changes we've made, along with the enterprise-wide reorganization Director Patel and I have undertaken. Reorganizations, they're cleaning it all out. But the conclusion of this piece is so ridiculous that a child could debunk it. The authors comically assert that you are less safe because Kash and I have aggressively reformed the FBI, yet they produce no evidence whatsoever to back up that claim. And the reason they don't produce any evidence is because the numbers tell an opposite story. Here is just a small snippet of data points proving that the decision Director Patel and I made to refocus manpower towards fighting violent crime and combating terrorism is working. Our violent crime initiatives dubbed Summer Heat, very interesting, and other initiatives around the country have the murder rate trending to be the lowest in U.S. history by a long shot. Summer Heat is coming to a city or town near you soon as we assist your community in removing criminal predators from the streets. Our emphasis on violent crime has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. This is a 62% increase from the same time period last year. We rescued over 100 children from being preyed on, while arresting over 825 violent child predators and 140 human traffickers. Our agents locked up 51 foreign intelligence operatives for spying and smuggling dangerous substances into our country. In conjunction with our federal partners, we apprehended, imprisoned, and deported over 18,000 illegal aliens. Many of these illegal aliens had violent criminal histories. As a result, last month, again, 0 illegals were admitted into our country. The same partners arrested nearly 800 rioters for attempting to stop enforcement operations. We seized 44,000 kilos of cocaine, 3,500 kilos of meth, and 1,200 kilos of fentanyl in just the last few months. This is a 22% increase from the same time period last year. In addition, we locked up one of the most dangerous gang leaders in the country, and we dismantled gang operations in nearly every corner of the country, including the largest TDA gang takedown ever. We locked up 3 of the top 10 most wanted FBI targets, and we're closing in on another. I'd like to talk more about some of the incredible work being done by our counter-terror teams, but the information, as you would imagine, is classified. But I promise you, it's happening. And finally, we're closing in on more disclosures and fixing past wrongs to personnel. We're making sure this is done correctly, but it's absolutely getting done. Notice how the New York Times omitted these data points to tell you a story, not the story. And even though it's an opinion piece, they should have at least attempt to insert reality into it. God bless America and all those who defend her. And think about what Trump patriots are doing right now, like Dan Bongino and Kash. They're removing all of these gangs, all these criminals. They're cleaning up everything the deep state has done, because if you remove all these individuals, remove all the illegals, remove all the gangs, are they making the country a lot safer? Because again, if we're going to have accountability, Do you really want the deep state players to call on these individuals? No. So let's see. They're cleaning out the FBI. They're basically arresting a lot of criminals. They're taking down the human trafficking, child trafficking organizations, arresting them, setting the children free. Isn't this what we all voted for? Isn't this what we wanted to happen? And think about it. Yes, they're doing this right now on this low level. And as they build this up and they get more and more off the street, they're making the country safer and safer and safer, because when the time comes to have accountability, who's the deep state going to call? Remember, you want them at their weakest point. You want to make it easy to go ahead and basically bring them to justice without them calling on their criminal friends, their terrorists, and everyone else to actually take to the streets. Now, you might see certain individuals take to the streets, but I do believe Trump and the Patriots, when that time comes, they're ready to round them up and actually put them all in jail. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is Trump has told us that they are looking for a buyer of TikTok. And it looks like TikTok is going to launch a new US app version on September 5th. And it's called M2, and it's being developed for a planned sale to US investors. So is the sale going through? Maybe, maybe not. It's starting to seem that way. And it looks like there's a newer or different version that will be used in the United States. I wonder if it's being developed here without China getting involved in it. Let's see how this all plays out. This is going to be very, very interesting. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is that Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty, well, they are actually run by Soros. Data Republican explains. Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty is a 501c3 supervised and financed by USAGM. They used to have a research institute, Open Society Institute, entered a partnership with RFE-RL to create Open Media Research Institute to take over the analytical tasks for RFE and FL. Yep, that's right. Our government co-founded the research arm for independent media in Europe alongside George Soros, an arrangement that was in place for several years. Interesting. And think about the system. The system brought all these people in. They became part of the system. And the system has been running the country for a very long time. Now, Trump and the Patriots, what they're doing is they're breaking up the system. And this is very, very interesting. Just like out in the UK. Remember, all these people that were put in place, the leadership that was put in place and installed in these countries, all you needed was a little bit of time. And as time passes, you know what the people do? They say, you know what? You're not the right person for us. And I do believe we're going to see this happen around the world. Yes, the installed leaders are going to try to stop it, but in the end, the people are going to win out. And it looks like there might be some type of replacement happening out in the UK, because Keir Starmer, it looks like he's not doing well whatsoever. Two senior Labour MPs have suggested the Prime Minister may have to go within months if the government continues to perform poorly. Interesting. I do believe in the end we're going to see a major change in the UK, in France, and many, many other countries, because all you got to do is give these people a little bit of time, and what happens? They destroy themselves. And as they're destroying themselves and destroying the country, the people could see it very, very clearly. Just like the people of Iran are seeing their country very, very clearly. And I do believe that Israel has gone in, weakened Khamenei's government. Trump got rid of the enrichment, shut down the deep state players, and now they are struggling. And what's very interesting is that Khamenei, he made another television appearance, but it looks like he is panicked, and it looks like he understands that most likely his days are numbered. Goldie Gamari put this out and said, it's not by coincidence that as soon as King Reza Pahlavi, the leader of the Iran's national revolution, comes out with a statement today confirming almost 20,000 defections, Khamenei turned up in a last-ditch effort to save an Islamic dictatorship that is crumbling from the inside. So it looked like he was trying to talk to the people of Iran, trying to say, oh no, he's still in control, but it looks like it's starting to really fall apart. And what's very interesting is that Trump, he admitted that the missiles that Iran fired into Qatar airspace at the U.S. bases, it was all controlled. That Iran spoke to him and they said, listen, you drop 14 bombs, we're going to have to hit you with 14 missiles. But we just want to let you know that we're going to do it. This is the time we're going to do it. And you're going to be able to shoot them down. Let me ask you a question. Are you looking to shed some pounds for this summer? Well, a recent study found nearly half of patients following popular weight loss trends quit within a year, often used lower than prescribed doses and ultimately lost less weight than they were led to believe. This is why I use this secret amazing new product, and I'm obsessed with the results. It is designed to naturally support my body's own GLP-1 production and boost levels by over 50% without drugs, prescriptions, or needles. It promotes the feeling of fullness, reduced cravings, reduced my hunger hormones, helps me lose fat instead of muscle, and supports healthy blood sugar levels. Summer is here. It's time to get that beach body ready. Grab yourself a bottle of GLP-1 now to save up to 44% only at trimwithx22.com. Plus, you also get 2 free ebooks titled The 3-Week Diet and 53 Fat-Burning Smoothies and Milkshakes. Once again, this offer is only available at trimwithx22.com. That is trimwithx22.com, or just click the link in the description. Which means that this was a controlled event. And who was Trump actually speaking to? Was he speaking to Khamenei, or was he speaking to the actual government that is now running the country? Take a listen to what Trump said.
They called me to tell me they have to take a shot at us. This was Iran, very respectful. That means they respect us. Because we dropped 14 bombs, they said, we'd like to take 14 shots at you. I said, go ahead, I understand. They said, where they'd do it, I said, good. We emptied out the fort. It was a beautiful military base in Qatar who treated us really fantastically well. And they said, sir, 1 o'clock, okay? I said, it was fine. We could make it later. And we had nobody but 4 gunners. We had 4, they call them gunners, and they shoot the Patriots, they shoot the missiles up. It's hard to believe. So all of a sudden they said, we're ready. And they were a little nervous about doing it, I want to tell you. Can you imagine? They were nice enough. This is Iran, to call me and tell me that they would like to shoot me at 14 times. So they want to shoot us, and I said, go ahead. And they shot 14 high-grade, very fast missiles. Every single one of them was shot down routinely by these 4 unbelievable gunmen. And they did their job, and that was the end of that. But the big thing was the attack on their nuclear facilities, what those people did. And
Now, that is very, very interesting. So I do believe what's happening right now is that Iran is going to be isolated without their strength within. The people now are rising up. The elites within that country, they're panicking. They're going to be escaping. And as more and more countries sign on to the Abraham Accords, what's going to happen is that Iran is going to be left without any support anywhere. And they're going to be trapped and isolated from all this. Just like with Ukraine. Remember, Trump is the middleman. And what he's doing now with Ukraine and Russia, he's continually saying Russia's doing a bad thing. Russia's bombing. Russia's killing. Russia won't stop. And on the other end, well, we don't have any money to give Zelensky. By the way, since Biden used up all our weapons, we just can't give you weapons right now. So good luck and let us know how it goes. And Trump just keeps saying that Putin, he's continually bombing Ukraine. I spoke to Putin and he says that, the conversation was really bad. Think about why he's doing this, because he's wearing down Zelensky. He's wearing down the deep state players. He cut off the funding. He cut off the weapons. And now, eventually what's going to happen, because you can see Europe is not really coming to help Zelensky at all. Eventually what's going to happen is that Zelensky will have no choice but to deal with Trump. I don't think Trump has a problem dealing with Putin. I think the problem is actually Zelensky and the deep state players. And actually Trump is saying, no, Putin is the problem. This way, everyone can't say, I'm talking about the fake news and the D's and everyone else, he's Putin's puppet. Oh, Putin, he's a pain. Oh, Putin's bombing. Oh, Putin's doing this. Putin's doing that. He just won't stop. oh, by the way, Zelensky, we're not giving you any money. You're not getting any weapons. Good luck. And eventually what's going to happen is Zelensky is going to beg on his knees. And Trump is going to wait it out. And he'll wait, and he'll wait. And it looks like Zelensky had a call with Trump, and they're saying that it was a productive call. And Trump let everyone know that, yes, do they need air defense weapons? Of course they do. But again, is he going to give it to them? He's not going to give them offensive weapons. He might give them defensive weapons, but not offensive weapons. But again, is that really going to help them? Is it going to help them fight Russia? No, it won't. He's not getting the money. So he's in trouble. And when the coffers go dry, when they can't launder the money anymore, when they can't pay for anything anymore, Zelensky will be calling Trump. Zelensky will be ready to talk. And all of a sudden, you'll see Putin say, let's have peace. And of course, Trump is going to make it look like, because optics are very, very important, it's going to make it look like that Putin, he's doing all this and there's no way to talk to this guy. This guy is just unreasonable. And I think he's going to keep doing this until Zelensky and the deep state players say, I give. But let's see how this all plays out. This is going to be very, very interesting. Now, we could see with what is happening now with RFK Jr., since he got into his new position and he brought in other people and Trump actually nominated many other individuals, we can see that Big Pharma, they are panicking. We could see the fake news, they are panicking because you're starting to see everyone backtrack on what they said during COVID. Remember, they told us the science was settled. They were told us that we had the results, we had the testing, we had everything with the bioweapon. So it was going to stop transmission. You weren't going to spread COVID. The science is settled. Now, all of a sudden, they're backtracking. Ask yourself why and why they were all wrong. Because, again, they weren't doing it for you. They were reporting and being told what to do and what to say because that's what Big Pharma was telling them. That's what the deep state was telling them to do. Take a listen to this exchange with Sanjay Gupta, and you could see going back in time, he let us know that the science was settled. Today, he's backtracking and trying to gaslight the people that, hey, it never worked. You still can get COVID. Remember, they told us that was normal. You take a vaccine, you still get the disease. That's normal. That's how it works. I mean, really think about what they were telling us. Take a listen.
I think was unfortunate, frankly, and this was a communications problem, was that they seemed to also intimate that it would protect you from getting COVID at all, from carrying it. And there was not great evidence behind that. And, you know, we reported as such that you don't have great evidence that shows that. When you have a vaccine that's protecting it against illness, it's usually protecting in your lower respiratory, in your lungs. So you're not getting that really, really sort of a deep illness. But you might still have it in your mucosa, in your mouth, in your nose, in your upper airway. So you could potentially still be carrying it and still potentially spread it. That was, I think, a communications error. And I think, frankly, Governor, I think it led to a lot of distrust overall of these mRNA vaccines. You said I couldn't get COVID if I got this. Well, I got COVID and I spread it. So what is this? Is this a vaccine or is it not a vaccine? That was a problem.
What I would say is that the science, I think, has been clear for some time on not only how well these vaccines work, as you alluded to, but also how well they protect you, how well they work in terms of preventing you from getting sick, but also how well they work in terms of preventing you from becoming infected, and most importantly and most recently, how well they work in terms of making it unlikely you would pass the infection on to someone else. You remember, Jake, you say, well, I'm vaccinated. Why do I continue to wear a mask? Why do I need that? Well, the idea was that maybe you could be an unwitting carrier, a silent carrier of the virus still. I think the data, and I just got off the phone with Dr. Walensky, I'll tell you as well. I called her because I still had some questions after these announcements. But one of the big things was the data that came out over the past couple of weeks really showing that even if you've been vaccinated, and even if you tested positive for the virus after you've been vaccinated, which does happen, rarely, but does happen, the data is now increasingly clear that you'd be very, very unlikely to then transmit the virus to somebody else. You're basically seeing two communities emerge, the vaccinated community and the unvaccinated community. As a vaccinated person, you were wearing a mask because up until recently, over the last month, the concern was you could still be an unwitting spreader of the virus. That seems very, very unlikely now based on pretty recent data. But so you're not doing a disservice to your community by no longer wearing a mask if you are a vaccinated person. The unvaccinated person could be putting other unvaccinated people at risk. That's the truth. And they're going to have to figure that out. Whether institutions are going to say we want to have some sort of proof of vaccination, who knows? And that's going to be a tough call for a lot of these places to sort of.
And by the way, we're never, ever going to forget this. So if they were wrong about that, you can bet they were wrong about all the people that have been getting autism. I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they have known for a very long time that the vaccines have caused autism. Remember, Trump saw all the classified information. RFK has all the information now. And what's very interesting is during the rally in Iowa, Trump said the following: autism is artificially induced, and RFK Jr. is going to get to the bottom of it. Which means Trump, the Patriots, they've always known that the vaccines cause autism. Everything Big Pharma has said, everything the fake news has said, it's all been fake. And we could see that Trump knew this a long time ago. But again, you have to bring it out into the open. The people have to digest it. The people have to understand that what they've been doing to the children is really, really bad. And there's a reason for it, because think about it. Most of the autistic kids are males. And if you have a lot of autistic males, can they fight in a war? Can they have a family? Yes, maybe some of them can, but a lot of them, very, very hard to. How do you destroy America from within? Vaccines, food, disease, you name it. This is what they've been doing. Tricking the children into thinking that there is no sex. You could be a boy, you could be a girl, you could be whatever you want. Having them castrated. Think about the world that they were preparing for. Think about what they were trying to do here. And Trump and all of us, we put an end to it. And now we put an end to Randi Weingarten's, because, again, she's the head of the teacher union. And remember the D's, they were so worried, like, oh my God, if you get rid of the Department of Education, we're not going to be able to teach the young. They're not going to get an education. Well, here's the anti-American teacher union boss. This is the message she put out. Hoping this 4th, the number 4, RTH, of July, the sun starts peeking through again. Peeking, P-E-A-K-I-N-G, instead of P-E-E-K-I-N-G. So remember, this is the individual who's the head of all the teachers. And then she started to rewrite her post. The next one was this. And this is one of my favorite pictures of the flag America, with the sun peeking, still spelled wrong, out. A beacon of light, this 4th with RTH of July. That's what I'm fighting for. And then she tried to do it again, and same results. And everyone was hitting her over and over and over. And remember, I don't even think she has children. And once again, who will teach our children? Let's bring it back down to the community level. Let the parents decide what's best for their children, and wait until you see how well the children really do. Wait until you see how much they learn. Wait until you see all the test scores start to skyrocket. Everything is about to change. Just like it's changing for all these rioters out in New York and Seattle and all these different places. And Nate Friedman's doing a pretty good job. He's on the streets, and every time he's on the street, he actually discovers another paid protester. He put this out and said the following: another paid protester tries to stop my interview, and then I expose him and the people he works for. The People's Forum and Singham want to destroy America from within. And once again, he continually shows that these individuals, they are paid by Soros. They're at every single rally, and they are the controllers. He's a Soros soldier, and now it's being exposed. Just like Zoran Mamdani, he is being exposed. And what's very interesting is that the New York Times dropped a bombshell on New York City communist and mayoral candidate Mamdani, exposing the fact that he described himself as black on his application to Columbia University. So this reminds me of Pocahontas, who said, hey, look, I'm going to law school. I'm an American Indian, so, I'm going to be put in front of the line. I'm going to get help. He's doing the same exact thing, actually almost like what Obama did, isn't it? Sounds very, very familiar, because think about it. Barack Obama, Mamdani may represent different generations and political climates, but their ideological similarities are striking. Obama embraced a strategy of stealth socialism, while Mamdani champions open socialism. And I do believe the reason why we have Mamdani now, and actually GPS actually puts him around the Obama's residence, I do believe that at this point in time, there's no beating around the bush for them. They just have to tell you who and what they really are, because they're losing their power and they're losing their grip on the American people. I think it's already lost, but you can see they're struggling right now, especially with all the information now that is coming out in regards of Russian collusion. And every day that passes, it's getting worse and worse for Obama. I do believe all roads lead to Obama. Paul Sperry put this out and said, U.S. intelligence official, Obama ordered the ICA to set Trump up and knock him off balance before he could even get started. This was an influence operation far more consequential than anything Putin cooked up. Obama and Hillary schemed the op, and the CIA and FBI ran it. Then we have Rich Barris, and he is responding to Barack Obama, who put out a message for Independence Day. And we know that he doesn't care about Independence Day. This is what he said. Independence Day is a reminder that American is not the project of any one person. The single most powerful word in our democracy is the word we the people. We shall overcome. Yes, we can. America is owned by no one. It belongs to all citizens. And at this moment in history, when core democratic principles seem to be continuously under attack, when too many people around the world have become cynical and disengaged, now is precisely the time to ask yourself tough questions about how we can build our democracies and make them work in meaningful and practical ways for ordinary people. Well, Rich Barris' response says, America was not founded as a democracy. It was founded as a republic. And the most powerful word was liberty, not we. You see, he is saying we because that fits into his socialist plans. He's saying we because that fits into democracy. You see, we're not a democracy. We're a republic. And liberty was one of the most powerful words. And you can see he's a snake oil salesman. And when he speaks, it sounds good, but it's not what he's really saying. Remember, he's all for socialism. And I think people now are starting to really see it. Now people are starting to understand. And remember, when you look at the Federal Reserve, you could see that the system that was set up by the central bankers, they set up a system where socialism was able to operate in other countries because the United States actually funded the socialism. People say, well, how was that? What do you mean by that? We funded Canada via tariffs. It was one-sided. We were sending billions and billions of dollars to Canada. Same thing with Europe. Same thing with all these different countries. Without the tariffs in place, socialism wouldn't be able to function in those countries. This is why the EU, this is why Canada right now, this is why they're struggling, because they know once they agree to reciprocal tariffs, everything that they put into place comes to an end. You have to remember what Trump is doing right now. Trump is ending the globalist central bank system. And the globalist central bank system was funding socialism around the world. So when you hear, oh, look, all these countries, you get free healthcare, you get free this, where do you think it was coming from? It was coming from the United States because this is the way they set it up. Now, if we have reciprocal tariffs, you're going to see Canada, they're going to have major problems. You're going to see the EU have major problems, and a lot of the countries within the EU have major problems. And you're going to see that all those individuals that were saying, hey, socialism is so great, all of a sudden it's going to start to fall apart. It's great when a capitalist society funds socialist societies. And now Trump is putting an end to all of this. Now, the other thing that's very interesting, and we've come to find out more information about JFK, and the Skiff put this out, and this is what he says. CIA admits contact with Oswald before JFK was assassinated by psychological warfare officers. A CIA psychological warfare officer named George Jonides ran an operation that was in contact with Lee Harvey Oswald before the assassination of JFK, and also highly mimics the style of an MK Ultra operation. The entire operation imitates conclusive patterns of an MK Ultra programming style assassination, which was used to manipulate Oswald into assassinating the President of the United States. Whether Oswald was one of the multiple shooters or not, and just a patsy, he was ultimately used to cover the CIA's involvement and to pass off the lone gunman theory to the public. There was definitely more than one shooter, period. The CIA lied for decades about George Jonides and their own role in Kennedy case before and after the actual assassination took place. The disclosure was hidden in plain sight within a batch of 40 documents concerning the psychological warfare officer. The key document, a January 17, 1963 CIA memo showing Jonides, was directed to have an alias and fake driver's license bearing the name Howard Gebler, which is confirmed in the documents at the end of the video. Until today, the CIA had denied that Jonides was known as Howard Gebler. The case officer named for the CIA contact, who worked with activists from an anti-communist group opposed to Cuban dictator Fidel Castro, called the Cuban Student Directorate. The CIA also falsely claimed for decades that it had nothing to do with the student group, which was instrumental in having Oswald's pro-Castro stances published soon after the shooting in order to strengthen the case against Oswald. This entire operation is highly subject to the MK Ultra operation and programming techniques, which were also coincidentally claimed to be used on Ciron in the assassination of RFK as well. Do you notice a pattern emerging? I wouldn't be surprised that these psychological programs and officers aren't still in use today, and if the two assassins who attempted to assassinate Trump were also part of a psychological operation or manipulated to actually go through the assassination attempts through multiple avenues of manipulation and mind control tactics. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like this and we start to see similarities between RFK, JFK, and the Trump assassin. And this is going to be very, very interesting as we move forward, because we could see that John Brennan right now, he was directing everything for Obama. So let's see. Obama orchestrated the Russian collusion. Obama then had Biden go after Trump with indictments. I wouldn't be surprised if Obama was involved in the assassination attempts of Trump. I wouldn't be surprised if Obama is behind pretty much almost everything. Jeff Carlson put this out and said, Brennan briefed Obama of the Clinton plan to smear Trump with claims of Russian collusion on July 28th. Instead of tasking the FBI to look into Clinton campaign, Brennan immediately made sure the Clinton plan would be hidden. The very next day, Brennan formed his interagency task force to compile fabricated foreign intelligence allegations against the Trump campaign. The FBI's crossfire hurricane into the Trump campaign was open on July 31st. Brennan and the FBI weren't conducting an investigation. They were conducting an operation. Brennan gave a separate Gang of 8 briefing to Harry Reid a month later that differed materially from the briefing Brennan gave to other members of Congress. Leading Reid to call publicly for an FBI investigation, Brennan later admitted to Congress that his information served as the basis for the FBI investigation. Despite ultimately admitting he never actually found anything, Brennan used a willing FBI. Brennan then created the Intelligence Community Assessment, or ICA. The sole purpose of the ICA was to hang the specter of Russia collusion around Trump's neck. It worked. That fabricated narrative hampered Trump's presidency for the next 2.5 years. And it was done with the help of a willing and complicit media, along with tireless work of Obama's CIA Director John Brennan. In Brennan's own words, I made sure that anything that was involving U.S. persons, including anything involving the individuals involved in Trump campaign, was shared with the FBI. This served as the basis for the FBI investigation. So, yes, Obama, Brennan, Hillary Clinton, they were all involved with this, which means they were involved with overthrowing the United States government in 2020. They were involved with the indictments and trying to stop Trump between 2020 and 2024. And now they're involved with the judiciary and involved in everything that we see today. And eventually, we're going to find out that it's the same exact people over and over and over. And they were the ones who committed treason at the highest level. They're the ones who overthrew the United States government. And what's very interesting, it looks like Tulsi Gabbard's team, they are being harassed by a Washington Post reporter. And she put this out and said, "It has come to my attention that the Washington Post reporter, Nakashimi, appears to be actively harassing ODNI staff. Instead of reaching out to my press office, she is calling high-level intelligence officers from my burner phone, refusing to identify herself, lying about the fact she worked for the Washington Post, and then demanding they share sensitive information. Apparently, publishing leaked classified material wasn't enough for the Washington Post, so now they're deciding to go after the intelligence professionals charged to protect it. This is a clear political op by the same outlet and the same reporter who harassed and stalked my family in Hawaii. This kind of deranged behavior reflects a media establishment so desperate to sabotage POTUS' successful agenda that they abandoned even a facet of journalistic integrity and ethics. The Washington Post should be ashamed, and they should put an end to this immediately." Absolutely. Actually, what this shows me is that they're actually very, very desperate. Guess what they're not getting? They're not getting the intelligence. They're not getting what they need to inform everyone else. So they're becoming very, very desperate. And this is what panic looks like. Because you have to remember what Trump is doing. He's dismantling everything that they had in place. And he's removing it right in front of their eyes. Just like he's removing maybe the mayor from D.C. and giving the power back to Congress. Storm Azarai put this out and said, "Did you know that the Constitution gives Congress the power to govern Washington, D.C.? Well, President Trump was just asked, do you think it's time for Congress to take back control of D.C.? Trump responded, I think D.C. has become a very safe place, and we're not going to let anything bad happen to D.C. That's our beautiful D.C. Well, have something to say about it next week. So right now we know there's a lot of crime within D.C. We know there was an intern that was a staffer that was shot during crossfire. I do believe at this point in time, with everything the D's have done to D.C., I think it's time to take control back and actually clean it up and start making major arrests there. So this way it sends a message to every single other person. And I do believe, yes, there's been a lot of cleanup. Mayor Bowser is now taking a knee to Trump and saying, okay, I will erase BLM. Okay, I'll clean this up. But I think at this point in time, we know that these people, they're not telling the truth. They're not going to stick to this. Eventually, they'll just go back to the way it was. So it's time to remove these type of people. And I do believe now is the time. Now, the other thing that we could see is that Elon Musk, he is now going to make a new party called the American Party. And his businesses already, they are taking a hit. Major investment firms, they're going to be pulling support from Tesla. And they're postponing the ETF launch after Elon's launch of his new political party. And James Fishback put this out and said, Elon has gone too far. My investment firm, Invest Azoria, has decided to postpone next week's public listing of our Azora Tesla Convexity ETF. So right now you could see Elon, he is moving forward with this new party. Now, a lot of people believe, and I don't think this is going to happen, that all of a sudden MAGA is going to be siphoned off and they're all going to go with Elon. Well, did this happen with DeSantis, or was it the fake MAGA people? Or was it the people that said, oh, no, I'm all for Trump. Oh, wait until something else comes along, and now I'm going to go with this person. Oh, wait, this person wasn't good enough now. This person didn't win. I'm going to go back to Trump. But think about it. When they went to DeSantis, they started to badmouth Trump. So do you really think this is going to happen? I don't think so. I think what's going to happen is that the D party is going to take the hit. And I think this happens every single time. Clandestine put this out and said, to be clear, I still don't think this Elon betrayal thing is real. Elon is not an idiot. He knows Trump is the resistance to the deep state. He knows what's at stake. I think Elon is making a very public stink to create the illusion of distance. So when Tesla and his other companies start booming under Trump's new economy and in the future, Elon can avoid any accusations of insider trading. The critics won't be able to say Trump was helping his billionaire buddy because they appeared to be opposed to each other. Whether anyone likes it or not, Elon is not going anywhere. His work with SpaceX is paramount to national security and U.S. space dominance. His work with Twitter, X, is paramount to defending free speech on social media, maintaining public perception, and unbrainwashing the masses. His work with Tesla is paramount to the future of robotics and transportation. His work with AI is paramount to the advancement of human civilization. Elon is not going anywhere. Elon is extremely important to humanity's future. And if Trump's economic plan works, Elon is going to be the single largest beneficiary. Elon's companies are going to start booming even more than before. All of Elon's companies will be extremely vital to the growth of this nation. I think this little spat is a giant ruse. So when Elon's net worth starts to skyrocket, he can say he had nothing to do with this at all. Elon could say he publicly opposed the tariffs, the OBBB, and Trump himself. Elon is absolving himself of any involvement in the moves that will ultimately benefit him and his companies. Trump has proven time and time again he'll engage in public theater, or kayfabe, if it is beneficial for optic reasons. I think that's what we're witnessing here. Now, obviously never be able to prove this theory, but if Elon's companies start booming in the future, can you see why this very public schism between Trump and Elon would be beneficial for all parties involved? And I do believe that is correct. I do believe they set out a plan to actually destroy the D Party. And I do believe it's already starting to work. Anthony Scaramucci responded to Elon Musk saying, yes, we're going to create the American Party. Anthony Scaramucci said, I would like to meet to discuss. My DMs are open. Mark Cuban also said, hey, this is fire. I like the new party. I think what's going to happen is that the power of the D Party, those people that aren't far, far, far left, they're going to start to move to another party, thinking that the grass is greener with this party. And what people are going to see as they're moving to all these different parties, they're going to see that the economic system is improving. Trump has gotten rid of the wars across the world, that the streets are safe in America, infrastructure is being rebuilt, there are jobs aplenty, that fuel prices are way, way, way down. And eventually, when it gets rid of the central bank, people are going to start to realize that their buying power is awesome. And I think what people are going to start to realize over time is that there is already a party. There's already a party for America, and that is MAGA. And Trump, through hard work, is going to prove it. Remember, Elon is setting up this party. There's no hard work. There's nothing. What has been done here? Nothing. Trump took every single arrow. He was sued many, many times. He was shot at, but he persevered through all of it. And people, they understand that. So no, MAGA is not going to run off to this new party saying, oh, look, this is going to be a lot better. Yes, those people that are pretending will run over, just like they did with DeSantis. All of a sudden, everyone said, I'm back in DeSantis. I'm back, until DeSantis wasn't going anywhere. And DeSantis, if you go back in time, during the campaign, he talked like a bumbling idiot. Then when the campaign was over, hey, look, now we can speak again. All of a sudden, Elon does a 180 and people aren't questioning it. Very interesting. Kim Auer put this out and said, anyone consider that Elon is doing this to get Democrats to leave their party, not Republicans? Post 4539. Death spiral. D Party. Foreign puppet masters, string pullers, death spiral. Next post. Post 4537. D Party, death spiral. Think 2020 presidential election plus one other presidential election. Maybe that's what that means. So I do believe, yes, it's a death spiral. And I do believe this is not going to affect MAGA. It's going to affect the Ds and the rhinos. Brian Cates responded to says, if Elon wants to throw together a new party to be made up of uniparty Republicans fleeing the GOP as Trump completes his long-awaited takeover of the party and the less insane Democrats looking for a new home as well, great, works for me. Remember when Elon said there's only one party, the uniparty? He's bringing them all over. So this is going to rip apart the Tea Party. MAGA is not going to be torn apart. We saw this before. This is nothing new. And this reminds me of post 2901. Internal civil war. All out assault against duly elected president of the United States. We have never experienced anything like this in our history. Treason and sedition at the highest levels of office throughout many departments, foreign and domestic. Propaganda arm, fake news media of the Tea Party in full attack mode. No facts, only statements. Propaganda arm, fake news media of the Tea Party limit sheep you from learning the truth. Propaganda arm, fake news media of the Tea Party retain control of narrative, control over you. House D's in full attack mode, no facts, only statements. Senate D's in full attack mode, no facts, only statements. This is their last stand. Fear of prosecution, fear of the public learning the truth, fear of losing power, bribes, blackmail threats, etc., all being deployed. We are at war. And we've been at war for a very long time. Yes, it's an information war. We've seen parts of it that has gone physical, but I do believe Trump and the Patriots are in control, and this is one of the last parts of their plan to basically destroy the Tea Party. Remember, the midterms are coming up. The midterms are the most important thing to the D's, because if they lose control of the House and the Senate, and we, the people, take control, and when I say control, I'm not saying majority, because, again, as Elon creates this party, you're going to see who's true MAGA, who is not, and you're going to see a separation. And I do believe this is the end part to see who's on your side. And even those people that are in the Senate, in the House, and many other places, just like we see other individuals say, I'm no longer a Republican, I'm now an independent. Oh, I'm no longer a Republican, now I'm a Democrat. You're going to see that these people who don't want to switch to independent or Democrat, they might switch to the American Party, which is very, very interesting. And we're going to see the true color, the true person, and who they really are. And this is going to basically destroy the Tea Party, not the MAGA Party. The MAGA Party has gone through hell since the very, very beginning. They're not just going to drop out. They're already battle hardened, and they don't fall for this stuff. Now, the other thing that we could see is that there were two individuals that were, I guess, radicalized in Florida. Maybe the corrupt intelligence agencies, some of those agents, got their grips in these people, and these two individuals were planning to bomb the White House. Now, they were arrested, and it's very, very interesting that the deep state players are still trying to push people into doing things. Now, the other thing that's really interesting is that fighter jets, they had to intercept a plane near Trump's Bedminster, New Jersey golf club. And this prop plane flew into the area. Now, of course, they know that this is a no-fly zone. They know they can't do this. But again, why was it done? Very, very interesting. Well, Kim Sachs saw this and said, this is very interesting. Dan Scavino put out a post, and we also have a post on the Q boards. So she's decided to put it all together. And she said, Dan, July 5th, 2025, 9:21 p.m. Q 2734, 9:21 timestamp. F-15, national emergency today. July 5th, 2025, fighter jets intercept plane near Trump's Bedminster, New Jersey golf club. Very, very interesting. So I do believe that Trump and team, they're moving forward with their plan. They are now ripping apart the Tea Party. The Tea Party is losing all control. They're doing whatever they possibly can to try to stop Trump. We see this with the judiciary. But in the end, they're going to fail. Now, this doesn't mean they're not going to try some type of an event or something else. As you could see, they're already trying other things where you had two people that say they're going to bomb the White House. Was this plane just flying around and decided to, hey, let's just go over the, the Bedminster Golf Club where Trump is. I do believe a lot of this is being done on purpose. I do believe that they're testing the area and they're seeing if they can pull something off. Just because they were intercepted and nothing happened, I don't believe that this was the event. I do believe this might have been a test. And I do believe that they're planning something for later on. But I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they know what's coming. Now, what could be coming later on? There could be cyber attacks. There could be riots. Or there could be a scare event, maybe with a dirty nuke or something like that. But let's see how this all plays out, because as the wild animals, as you back them up into a corner and they're afraid and scared, well, they'll do just about anything to try to stop what's coming. But you know what? Nothing can stop what's coming. Why? Because the Patriots are in control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.